네, 2012 핫6 GSL 시즌 1 코드에서 32강 D조의
From Seoul, Korea. Greetings from Seoul, Korea, and welcome to the GSL. Codes, I'm Tasteless. With me is Artosis. How you doing, nerd?
I am so excited, Tasteless.
Yeah.
I'm excited every day for Codes. It's so much fun, and the tournament has gotten so much better this year than last year.
It really has, and the games are getting better and better.
I know, and last year we had insane games and a great tournament, but this year blows it away already as far as I'm concerned. We're having sick best-of-3s in the round of 32 over and over, 5 a day. Oh, my God. My brain dies by the end. I'm having so much fun and actually talking so much.
And even yesterday, for instance, it was insane, the level of play.
If you guys did not see that, you go ahead and watch that.
Especially the last series.
Oh, God. I tell you,
MVP,
MVP and Lucky MVP were sick matchups.
I was learning a lot. I mean, we were seeing, I won't go too far into it, but we were seeing nukes used to drive back Broodlords. Nukes used at positions on the map so that you just could not enter that area. You could not engage. It was really something else. So
it was beautiful.
I've never seen a game quite like that. What a treat. I hope today's games are as good. Here are the results. Now, the truth is the results are not as shocking as the games themselves are.
Yeah, no, the results really not all that shocking. Nestea and MVP advance. But I tell you what, the story of how Nestea went and won it 2-0, and then MVP came and won 2-1 to get out of the group as well.
And the truth is, MVP barely made it out.
Yeah.
He barely made it out.
A lot of it was barely. Lucky barely beat Hydra. It was very close series, 2-1. And, it was a matter of 30 seconds that made Hydra lose that. And then Lucky barely lost MVP. It was crazy. But here are today's matches. We have FXO Oz, StarTale Curious, StarTale Bomber, and OGS Inca.
Now here's our first player. It's Oz, one of the best Protosses in the world. He is incredibly solid. And he's definitely somebody I'm going to be looking forward to seeing in this tournament. Curious, we've seen a lot of him in the team league. Now he's here kicking a lot of ass in the individual league. We're going to see how far he gets this time around. A man who needs little, if any, introduction, Bomber, one of the most terrifying players to watch play.
Yes.
There's almost nothing
He's going to have more supply than his opponents.
And, of course, the PvP expert, Inca.
Yeah.
Who's got an incredibly unique playstyle, very creative. Another one of my favorite Protosses to cast. We're both actually extra excited today because we get to cast Protosses.
2 Protosses.
We both play
and not just 2 Protosses, but Inca PvP is so much fun, man. Sometimes you get 2 Protosses there playing, and I'm like, oh, it's like a 4-gate against like a 3-gate Expo. I'm like, this isn't actually how PvP is. But Inca is so good, so smart at the matchup.
Yeah.
It should be just wonderful to see what he has planned.
I've been charmed by his PvP. I have learned more from his PvP than any other Protoss.
Especially back in the day when he did his PvP.
Yeah.
Like, he was so good back then. Recently, we haven't seen PvP quite as much.
Back when it was Golem PvP, Bomber just walked by me.
And he has gloves on. He has winter gloves on in the studio holding a hot pack.
Yeah,
that's how important it is to have warm hands.
Yeah, you got to have warm hands so that the blood is circulating. That's actually why we see the players in here. For instance, Oz here with the jacket on. Because
he wants to look like Tasteless. That's like a Tasteless jacket.
That is a Tasteless jacket, actually. That actually doesn't. That might be my jacket. What if you
Oh, my God. Why is he wearing your jacket?
Looks pretty good on him, too.
Yeah, it does.
Well, I mean, I wear good jackets.
Yeah. All right, so Oz against Curious, going to be pretty sick. 2 of the best up-and-comers. I do have to point out that these 2 met in the finals of Code A, where Curious 4-0'd Oz. Will that happen again?
We're going to see. There's a lot more on the line. The Code A finals, oddly enough, probably not as much pressure as the start of a GSL Code S. So they want to get deeper in Code S because once you get past this phase, the phase after that, you're basically secure. This is when you're really in jeopardy. All that hard work knocking you right back to square one. So the game is now loading. Oz against Curious, excuse me. Protoss against Zerg. I don't know what these results are going to be. I think they should be a little bit closer than the previous time they faced up, as long as Oz isn't nervous. But we'll find out. This is the GSL Code S in Seoul, Korea. And thank you to Hot6, our sponsor. All right, in the bottom left starting location, we have our Protoss player. He is FXO. It's Oz from FXO, so it's not actually FXOZ, but he merged it together because it's kind of cute.
It is cute.
In the upper right, we have our Zerg player known mostly for the team league. Let's see how he does in this individual league in Codes. His ID is...
Starting Curious.
Curious.
And I am very wondering how he'll do
Look
today.
at all these nerds here. Packed in the studio today. I love meeting the people that can fly out to Korea and come to the studio. By the way, entrance is free here, guys.
That's right.
I get a lot of people tweeting that at me. Can I come there? How do I get tickets? How do I book a seat? You just show up, man.
Yeah, you just show up, and I tell you, even if there's no seats, they'll find more seats.
Yeah.
There have been times, though, where there are no seats left, and you might have to stand or sit on the floor.
We have to crowd surf.
Matters
to get
who's
to the bathroom.
playing, man. How late it is. You get Boxer up and around a 4-man, that's what happens.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And so definitely come check it out. This is like a little nerd heaven out here in Seoul.
It is nerd heaven.
It is nerd
That's
heaven.
Exactly.
Nerd heaven's actually a real place, and it's called the GSL Studio.
Yeah, and you don't have to die to go there, which is sick.
Yeah, you get to go to heaven before you
Dude.
even die.
Yeah, dying would suck.
Yeah, dying sucks.
Yeah.
Listen, we definitely think that stuff sucks. We're both atheists, man. We're terrified of that. Now, we see the Protoss doing a quick expand over here. The Forge and then the Gateway is going to be used to wall in.
Yeah, this is actually a very Nanowa build.
Yeah.
And look at that. Predictions for the winners. Oz getting a big prediction. Curious a much smaller, but I got to tell you, Curious is one player that StarTale has had a lot of faith in for a very long time.
And I have a feeling that when we see Bombers, he's probably going to be at like 40%. Something like that.
Yeah, you definitely could be. I think you're quite right. Inca probably would be a little bit lower. So this is kind of a Nanowa build that we're seeing out of Oz. He went Nexus first with no Scout. And you can definitely do that. It is a doable thing. Unless they, if they like 6-pool or something, it can be bad. He's throwing up a second gate, but that's just to buy time until the cannon is up and you can cancel and put a Cybernetics core out there.
As you can see, Zerg is just going to continue to drone up. We have Ling speed on the way too. You basically want to get the bare minimum number of Lings.
Whoa, he hasn't canceled that gateway yet, and he's making his out. He might actually be going Forge Fast expansion after a Nexus first. Basically, Nexus into the cannon, into 2-gate Zealot pressure, and now he's getting 2 gases. A lot of confusing things going on here.
This
I'm
is
excited
weird
to see,
because
though.
you think that's a mistake? I think he would want me to make the second gateway. I don't know, man.
With the speed with which he started that Zealot, I know it's not a mistake. And in fact, Chrono Boosting double Zealot out now, so he is going to go 2-gateway Zealot pressure. Now, I have so much to say about this build.
I'm just so surprised.
Why?
That he's opening up like this.
Oh, yeah, no.
It's a very out there build.
You can do some weird stuff with this. In fact, the person who really kind of invented this is none other than KiwiKaki. And this is a build that he engineered that is so funny. He will go for the quick double gate after the expansion, make a ton of Zealots, like 5-6 Zealots, start attacking with them. Sometimes it catches your opponent off guard and does a ton of damage. But normally what it does is cause a bunch of roaches, and against that, KiwiKaki would go ahead, throw down 2 Stargates, and get out 6 Void Rays. And from there, I can't even tell you how many games I've seen him win like that.
That's really, really interesting. The thing is, though, why would you do that on this map? I mean, they're so far apart,
Yeah, yeah, and I know exactly what you mean. I think that it's based upon the fact he might be a little bit nervous to play against Curious. In fact, Roach is already out, so he's already forced those Roaches. And, I mean, that's the power of this. He knew that Roaches were coming, and he forced it. So he has to have some sort of follow-up to that. Now, it doesn't look like it's exactly KiwiKaki, because he is throwing up the extra gateways, the extra cannons. He's getting out some sentries as well. That means that this is not going to break him, this attack. I wonder, though, what his actual follow-up's going to be. You'll see, here come the Roaches, but no damage is actually going to be done here.
Yeah, he could even force them back with a force field.
He might even want to trap them, because there's so many cannons finishing up. It's one of my favorite things to do. I don't use force fields to keep things out, I use them to keep them in.
The Roaches can be angled outside the gateway, though, here. And losing the gateway is pretty bad. In fact, he will lose this gateway. I don't see any way that he can
it looks like
it.
There's no real way to save that gateway right now, but that's not something he's going to be overly frightened of. He has 5 cannons, a stalker, a couple sentries. He's going to have another sentry shortly here. And there's just no way that any real damage is going to be done here.
Whoa, that was a close call there. I'm surprised he actually went in there with the Lings. I mean, there's 5 cannons.
Yeah, no, exactly.
The cannons in StarCraft 2 do not die, guys.
No, they're pretty good. There's no way he was going to kill those. Maybe trying to look for a run by, but yeah, it was not the right choice. But, you know, right now, Oz still looking fine. He's actually getting... Wait a minute. Did he canceled his +1 attack before because he was already getting it. Now he just restarted it. That was odd.
I feel like Oz's build is kind of falling apart.
It's a little bit wonky. He does have a hidden pylon and stuff, and he has forced roaches.
Build. But I think what he thought was going to happen, if I could give my best input at this point in time, I believe right over here. See, he thought the third base was going to be taken right away, and then what he was going to do is have 2 gates, chrono boost out Zealots, and then finish Warp Gate, and he was going to beat that with +1. Yeah. And instead, there was no third base that was made right away. Whether he got confused or something. And then he saw the roaches coming, and he wasn't actually transitioning properly. So I think that's what happened.
Could be.
Because just the way everything looks so far.
Well, now the question is, how is he going to follow up to this? He's making a Stargate. He has 5 gates now. He's making a ton of sentries. And what I think he's going to do here is get that Voider out so that he can go ahead and take an expansion. There's no real way for him to get a truly great attack off right now. I feel like all the timings are kind of a little bit messed up. And with that many sentries, you know, I like him for defense. I'm thinking that might be his plan, is to just take a third base from here, which is fine. But he's getting a Twilight Council too. Curious. And I'm not talking about the Zerg.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It took me a minute to process.
That's me, Tasteless.
I was like, what is he talking about, the Zerg? And then I'm like, oh, that's his ID.
All right, so I gotta say, you know, I've played around actually with Kaki's version of the double gate after expand, and it's not something that's 100% solid. Once people play against it a lot, they can figure it out and beat it. But I feel like it was a better opening than what we've seen here.
It's actually funny, those cannons actually wall up, yeah.
Sorry, Curious. He's like, well, I was just
really
wondering.
Curious, man.
I was wondering if I could get up that ramp.
I want to know things.
Yeah. Well, actually, okay, so we have +2 and Blink on the way, and a lot of Phoenixes as well as a Robo. Oz just doing every single tech at once.
It's also interesting he's not picking anything up with a Phoenix.
I think he's just waiting for his shields to run out. Or just not doing that at all.
I feel like, honestly, we're seeing Oz play a little bit more of a sloppier game than what he's used to.
Yeah. Well, you know, Oz is someone who doesn't do so well under pressure. He really never has.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that Queen gonna live.
The Queen lives and the Void Ray dies.
Yeah, he could have even lifted that up with the Phoenixes and killed it. That was a huge blunder there. I am confused by Oz's play here. I think he's just playing a little bit more sloppy than he normally does. This is not the...
Yeah, I think he's anxious.
Not necessarily the Oz that I know and love, Tasteless.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not the odds that I've casted either. I mean, I've seen him in much better shape. But it looks to me like he's a little shaky or something. You know, the build order didn't go right. The pylon not identifying that there wasn't a third base there to do the 2-gate Zealot pressure.
Yeah.
Losing the Void Ray, for instance.
Well, he's adding more gates. He's going up to 8 gateways, which is pretty crazy. He's even making an Immortal. His Blink and +2 is almost done. He has a proxy pylon. He has a good number of Phoenixes flying around as well. It's too bad he did lose that Void Ray.
Oh man, he's even lost another Phoenix.
Yeah, he lost the Phoenix there a little bit sloppily to just a handful of Hydras that he could have picked up and eradicated.
Yeah, he could have actually killed those few Hydras.
Yeah, he probably would have lost 1 Phoenix and had another pretty damaged, but killed about 5 Hydras.
All right, he's moving in here now. He's hitting it pretty hard right now.
Yeah, man, this base is dead.
And actually, you know what? A Curious over drone.
Oh, I got it. Yeah,
he had way too many drones.
Well, I got to say also, Curious is really smart to run away from that because that was that's a scary attack. And in that area with that many sentries, you are not going to break through with just the ground you'd say he has right now.
Here's what Curious did, which is smart, is he saw that there were Hydras out, which means that he didn't have anywhere near as many Roaches or Masslings, so he wasn't going to be able to overwhelm that army.
Well, right now those Roaches running by, they've already killed one of the proxy pylons, although there is another. And Oz going forward. linking up now, and Curious has all his units out of position, so this is really bad news for him, actually.
Whoa, sick force fields. Really nice.
Traps everything out there, starts killing off a lot of Overlords, and wow, he's using a lot of force fields. Look at that,
my God,
beautiful.
that was perfect.
But Burrow movement is done. Can Curious stop this army? Nice force fields, forcing them to go even further underground.
I think he should have turned around. I mean,
well, we will see if Curious can break through here. It's going to be pretty huge.
It's going to kill this army, I think.
Well, some more Stalkers rallying up here. He does have Blink, let's not forget. Is it going to be enough? No, it looks like absolutely not.
Here's what he did wrong. When he killed that expansion, he should have gone home.
Well, yeah, here's the beauty of it. If you do like a 7 or 8 gate against a Zerg with 3 base, this is a general rule, guys. If the Zerg fights you at the 3rd base and you win the fight and kill the 3rd, you can keep attacking. But if they simply abandon it, that means that you cannot truly fight. Sometimes, hey, a lot of times you're going to play and you are going to win the fight, but realistically, the reason the Zerg is leaving because he's not going to win a fight there, he's going to win a fight somewhere else. He realizes, okay, that's fine. I'm going to have more units at home and be able to hold this. And that's what Curious went for. And Oz went ahead, got pincered, lost a ton of sentries, and lost his Phoenixes. Lost a lot, man. It was actually, you're absolutely right, Tasis. He should have actually turned around.
Yeah.
He killed off the base, and then it was time to go home and maybe expand himself.
Oftentimes against a Zerg, after you kill the base, almost always the right answer is to go home. Very often. Very often. I mean, if you're in a complicated game, just kill the expansion, go back and defend. What is he going to do? He's just going to have to expand again. You're going to have probably even or more bases than him, so you can outproduce him. Then you wait for him to expand again. Sometimes you even let them finish the expansion. Then you go in and kill them again.
Well, here we go. Curious moving up. He lost a lot of drones there.
A little bit.
So he's just going for the kind of all-in move here, and it is not going to work out for him, unfortunately. He lost a lot of drones because his roaches were so out of position on that battle. Even though he killed off the army, he didn't do so quite efficiently enough. And so Oz going to kill that off and take the game. GG. That was such a great game to learn from. There was the big portions of that game include the fact that, Curious just kept on putting pressure at the front, even though there was a lot of cannons. And then another part, Curious ran away from his 3rd with his drones. He said, oh, no, I can't fight this right here, right now. I will just lose if I do that. And that is a hard decision to make as a Zerg, but he made it correctly. But then his roaches, which were out on the map trying to kill off reinforcement pylons, got way out of position, and Oz went for it. So he had to pull his drones out. He lost a ton of drones in that battle. After losing that many drones, even though when his roaches came back, he finally crushed the army of Oz. He lost too many drones. He decided, well, I have to go all in from here. I don't have any economy. And I mean, it was the correct choice there because of his roaches being out of position. And that's how the game went down, man. That was a great game to learn from.
Curious, I think, played a little bit sloppy there. It was pretty, after he held off the attack, it was pretty clear that Protoss is just going to do a 2-base timing, I think. He saw those gateways and everything, and saw the chrono boost on the Forge. It was smart for Curious to stay back or back off in that one attack, but he's in such a bad position even after that. So we're going to go on to game number 2.
Yeah, man. And it's Curious's map choice. He does choose Belshire Beach.
Great map, a big open map. It's actually a map that all the Zergs love. You don't always feel safe on it, but you can counterattack really easily.
Yes, it's a pretty big open map, man.
And they can expand in 2 different directions. You can actually hit multiple locations.
Yeah, you can be very mobile on this map. We see a lot of great games here for sure.
All right, well, let's get ready for game number 2. Tastes and Artos is here in Seoul, Korea, casting the GSL Code S. Korea is the place to be for esports and for gaming.
It is.
It really actually is. And you know what? The world is fair after all, Artosis.
It is a fair world.
Turns out the world is actually fair. Life is good. We can StarCraft.
It's extra fair for you and I.
It's extra fair, yeah.
That's the most fair there is.
Yeah.
Extra fair.
So, let's see if Oz can close this out, or if